What's up, everyone? I'm the Kaiju no Kami from the Toku Animation News Network at Colorado Anime Fest 2024 with
Jim from the Game Slave.
And we are here interviewing
Tony Oliver.
For someone who might not know what you're from, and if they don't, they lose their nerd cred. What are you from?
I started with Robotech way back in the day. As a voice actor, I played Lupin the Third. I played Ulquiorra in Bleach, Minato, the fourth Hokage in Naruto, Hibiki and Van Dread, Gojo and Sayuki Reload. I got like 300 credits. And currently, I'm in Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. I do a voice in that, and I direct mostly these days. So I am directing Undead Unluck for Hulu and Beyblade X for Disney XD.
So speaking both of Scott Pilgrim and of directing,
mm-hmm.
what was that like? You were working then with a lot of more like Hollywood actors,
yeah,
as opposed to folks that are commonly doing voiceover for anime.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like for you?
Well, to be fair, I was kind of facilitating. The showrunners, particularly Ben David, or directors in their own right, really good directors. Learned a lot from Ben David, actually. So I was doing a lot of facilitating, turning his stuff into voice actor speak. But it was a couple of things. It was really refreshing that, with a couple of exceptions, everybody was just as insecure as the actors I work with every day. See, there's big professionals who make a lot of money and they do this all the time, but they're just as scared, they're just as worried about their craft, they're just as focused on trying to do the right thing and not all confident. I didn't see a stitch of ego among any of them. I'm talking about Chris Evans and these guys, not a stitch of ego. It was also interesting to note that the difference between them and the people that I work with generally is that they do this every day, so they get to the characters sooner. They just get to it a little quicker. There's a little less machination in the head, a little more, oh, he feels like this, and here it is. And so that was, I noticed that with experienced voice actors, people like Mary Elizabeth and Steve Bloom, they get to it right now. And so it was nice to see that there's not a lot of difference the biggest difference between all of us really is our paychecks and how good looking we are. Honestly.
Well, being that my channel centered around Toku, you helped create something that was more phenomenal with Power Rangers. What is it like just having that it passed its 30th anniversary and is still going?
I laugh a little bit. I tell the story in my panel, but we figured that we would get 3, maybe 5 years out of the show, tops. Maybe we'll make some money off the toys. And so it was. It took us completely by surprise. Looking back now, I don't know. It feels like. Every creator wants their Disney moment where they created something that has some lasting legs and gives them a little immortality, and that Power Rangers is that for me. So I look at that as I was exceptionally fortunate, and I got to be right in the nexus of it. So I had my hands right in the show, right at a time when it was an exciting time to do that, and at the last time in history that it can ever happen, because television is not watched that way anymore. There's no more destination TV. It's not 3 channels, it's 72 channels, and you can watch it anytime you want. So I don't think there's ever going to be another show quite like Power Rangers in the children's world in terms of viewership and that sort of thing. Toy sales maybe, but we'll see. Even the toys, we beat Ninja Turtles 5 years in. So.
Well, I would say it was interesting because like last year, one of my students was all into Dino Fury and always asking questions about it, and it was just so cool to be like, man, this is so cool. This is still going on, and the kids that I'm teaching are now having a response to it like I was when I was in that grade.
And it's interesting because it's passed from hands. I mean, we were Saban Entertainment, then it passed on to Disney, and it went back to Saban, and now it's with Hasbro. So each entity adds a little something or takes away a little something, depending on who you're talking about, up to the show. And it's been interesting to see how the core of it has stayed the same. And that's kind of what my goal at the time. I told my writers what I wanted to do is think of Back to the Future, what Robert Zemeckis did in that. He creates this universe that's plausible enough that this can happen. So as a Power Ranger writers, we needed to create a universe, a context that would allow this to make sense. And the fact that they're still in the core show means we succeeded in creating a context, because the details have changed, but the context is the same, and that's very gratifying to me.
So thinking about kind of how voice acting tends to be done in the States, especially for anime adaptation, a little bit more naturalistic style of acting. But you also directed JoJo's, which is very
stylized.
how do you work with actors that are used to maybe one way of performing and getting them to come into a different type of performance?
Fortunately for voice actors, we don't get typecast quite like camera actors do. So most of these guys do multiple different kinds of characters. So it really wasn't that big a deal because we just tell them to overact. Just overact. A lot of these guys are also either camera actors or ex-camera actors. And when you're camera acting, it's very small. So when they get to let go, they really like it, because you can get big and ridiculous, and you don't have to worry about nuance or anything like that. You just have fun.
Yeah, it actually strikes me now I'm thinking about like those characters from JoJo's are actually they're reminiscent of like Power Rangers villains or things like that, like just that so over the top, so out there.
Yeah, the outrageousness is what makes that show work.
Yeah.
But I used to say it's second only to Dragon Ball Z and how loud it is. But then I did My Hero Academia. That's even louder. My goodness.
Is there an accomplishment you have made throughout your career or even just in your life that you are most proud about?
If you talk about whole life, my family, like being a parent. I have I have 4 grandchildren. I have 2 kids, and that's been the thing that sustained me through my entire career. Was them. So that in terms of that. Professionally, I don't know. I'm still working at it. We'll see. I don't think I'm done yet. I'm very proud of Power Rangers. I'm particularly proud of Scott Pilgrim, although I take less credit for that one. And I'm particularly proud of Fate Zero, the job that we were able to do on that. As a director, I kind of found my bones on that show. I kind of really found my secret sauce on that show. And that was Aniplex, and it's the only show I've worked on that I've ever actually actively binge watched after I did it, because it's really good. So,
what do you think was the the difference in the process then for Fate Zero that you found that secret sauce?
It was Aniplex. Honestly, they gave us the budget, an appropriate budget, and the time to do it correctly. There was no rushing. In fact, they asked us to slow down and do it right. And so we were able to, and they cast it really well. So I had actors in front of me that were capable of great depth, and all I had to do was ask them for it. And once we started working at the emotional level rather than at the surface level, it all started to bubble up in a way that it hadn't before in my directing. So my directing style changed from kind of general directions to very emotional directions. I don't direct the actor on how to speak, but I direct them on how to feel. And that changed everything.
I have to say the dub for Fate Zero was incredible. One of my favorite dubs, especially Gilgamesh.
Yeah, he's great, and Matt Mercer gave the performance of his life in that. So I thought.
What social media links can people find you at?
I just kind of started to do it again. I'm really bad at socials, but Tony Oliver 275 on Instagram, and Tony Oliver Voice Actor on Facebook. I am no longer working with Twitter at all. And I think I'm at Tony Oliver 275 on Threads, but I'd have to look that up. I don't remember. I just started using that too. I've just kind of had it with Mr. Musk. So
it's become your ex.
Yes, he's become my ex. I never did much there anyway, so they're not missing me.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Tony. We really appreciate the time.
Do you have any final thoughts for us?
No, I just want to thank everybody. I mean, I've had a great career, and it's mostly because of you guys watching and appreciating what we do, and it's a great privilege to be able to entertain you guys. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tony.
Thanks a lot.
We appreciate it.
And until next time, bye.